Okay, if you are replacing the coilovers on your Mazda Miata, this is the video that you need to be watching because it's a quick guide on the easiest way to replace the coilovers on the Miata. I have a Mazdaspeed Miata right here and some 949 Racing coilovers. I'm changing the springs and I've changed the suspension out a bunch of times, so I found the quickest, easiest way to do it, and I'll get right to it. But the front coilover, the way that you remove it is you have to get the upper control arm disconnected. You don't want to mess with the ball joints that are on here at all. They're really difficult to hammer out and have all the right tools. You just don't want to mess with those. So what you want to do is you want to disconnect this one bolt in the back, and it's a pretty hefty torque that is holding it on. It's 100 foot-pounds, so it might take a breaker bar or something to undo that bolt. And the lower nut to the control arm itself is around 85 foot-pounds. And if I go over here, there's the coilover itself. The top two nuts right here, they're pretty light, 26 foot-pounds, but that's pretty much what holds the coilovers in there. And there's one other thing that you need to know, and that is the sway bars right here. There's a torque to the sway bar, but you really can't get a torque wrench and an Allen wrench on there at the same time, so I just snug them up. But the main thing about the sway bar is it needs to get down and out of the way of the upper control arm. Once you disconnect the upper control arm, this whole thing with these ball joints and then the coilover itself, it's flopping all over the place. It's hard to control. It'll be easier with two people, but one person can do it. I'm doing it myself right now. But the sway bar, what you need to do is the end link right here that connects it. You need to disconnect it on both sides, because I'll go over to the other side real quick and show you that you can see how high up this is. If I kept this disconnected, this end of the sway bar would be up this high, and then the other side of the car would be high also. So you got to disconnect it on this side so that you can get this down and out of the way to do the other side. So that's the little trick or tip that will really help you out, because when this is flopping all over the place, you know, it's hard to lift it up and over and get it all reconnected and disconnected with this thing in the way. So another thing that you can do is whenever you put the thing back in or you're taking it out, mainly when you're putting it back in, when you go to line up the bolts at the bottom and stuff, you can do like real fine adjustment, lifting it up to get the bottom bolt right here reconnected through the holes. Another thing that I did is I put a rag around the coilover itself, because there's like these little adjustment threads and I don't want to get them damaged. So I put a rag inside the hole right there to keep the threads from getting damaged. But one other thing I guess I can put on here is whenever I remove the bolt right here, it wouldn't go all the way through, so I use this extension and a hammer to like tap it out the other side over there, because it's like a really long bolt and it takes some force because it gets bound and stuff sometimes. But I just put it up here for now. And I guess another thing to do is this goes to a sensor, and it's connected to the control arm itself, and you want to make it loose because you're going to be moving the lower control arm up and down to, you know, raise and lower this coilover. You got to really push down on the lower control arm while the upper control arm is disconnected. But you just got to disconnect it like right here from this bolt with this and up here, and it'll make it like a lot easier to move this whole entire unit around. But I guess that's everything that I can think of for right now. And I will go to the rear suspension right here. And a rear suspension is way easier. The coilover is easier to remove because all there is that lower bolt in the rear that you remove right here that goes through the bottom part, and then the upper part, the two nuts, you go through the trunk of the car to gain access to it. But that's like 26 foot-pounds. And what's easy about the rear is that all you have to do is remove this one little bolt from the upper control arm, and then the whole entire thing comes apart, and you could easily pull the coilover out and clear the fender like that. But I guess that's my video for now. I might put this camera on the ground and show you me putting the thing in, but it's kind of awkward and cumbersome doing it yourself. But that's about all you need to know to remove and replace a coilover on a Mazda Miata. Okay, take one. So, yeah, I'm just going to push downward on the lower control arm here and try to get all this positioned in here like that. And that went pretty easy. And I'm aligning those two upper bolts, and I'm pushing up, and I'm putting the little jack underneath the lower control arm so it doesn't go down anymore. And there you have it. That's how easy it could actually be. And then I guess all I'm going to do is just put a nut on one of the threads here on the top. And there, it can't fall down anymore. But that was it, pretty much. And I'll show you how I had it in there. But I had it like, I didn't have the lower bolt in. I'll just put that in afterwards. But it seems like it's easier when it's like kind of not connected on the bottom right there. It gives you a little bit more space because it's dropped downward in that hole. See, if the bolt was through there, the coilover would have been about 1 inch higher. So that's how I installed it right there. And at this point, all I got to do is just maneuver this upper control arm around until I get that main bolt lined up. But I think you get the picture, and you can do it yourself at this point. So I hope this video helped you, and see you next time.